As most of you know, being a Sega fan in modern times is quite a bit different from when we were kids. Most of the great franchises we knew and loved have fallen to the wayside, with Sega focusing nearly all of its attention elsewhere. When we do get an older franchise updated, it's usually Sonic in some form. 2023 wasn't really any different in that regard. Sega focused on its biggest properties and again left the vast majority of its classic IPs untouched. Fortunately, it was still a decent year for Sega releases and new announcements. In this episode, I have highlighted some areas, and we will go over many of the games that were released this year. We have some mobile games, console and PC titles, and even some arcade goodness to take a look at. Hope you guys enjoy Sega 2023 and beyond. Sega put out a number of mobile and casual games this past year, an area I honestly do not dabble in very much. LEGO Sonic Speed Sphere Challenge is a free browser-based release that should be great fun for those of you with younger children. It plays easily with either a keyboard or a mouse, a top-down collectathon where you must defeat Robotnik. SAMBA de AMIGO Party Central is for you rhythm game fans, a direct sequel to the much-beloved franchise. This one landed on the Switch, but there were also versions for VR devices called SAMBA de AMIGO Virtual Party and an Apple Arcade release called Party to Go. Sega made sure the little blue blur was available on the go and just released Sonic Dream Team for Apple devices a few weeks back. You infiltrate Robotnik's dreams with your friends and take down various stages. The catch here is that your team all have different abilities and can reach different parts of the levels. Gameplay is pretty typical, but it's fast, fun, and can use a controller. It's short, but not bad at all for a mobile title. The real-time strategy of Company of Heroes 3 got both a PC and console release in 2023. Take the Allied forces and hit Italy and Northern Africa with all your might. Though the action unfolds in real time, you can stop things to issue commands, a great feature that allows you to guide your forces better as things take shape. The Essence Engine 5.0 allows for some pretty spectacular detail that can be damaged and destroyed on pretty much every level. Relic Entertainment, a subsidy of Sega, developed this, and you get it on the PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X. Endless Dungeon is a twin-stick shooter with strategy elements, and a follow-up to the 2014 release, Dungeon of the Endless. You and your team must explore a space station infested with enemies. Each of the game's 10 floors are generated anew each time you play, giving you incredible variety. The idea is to protect your bot as you make your way through the levels and rooms. Find items to heal and upgrade your squad. There are 8 characters to choose from, and you can make a team of up to 3 people, which can be played in both single and multiplayer. It was developed by Amplitude Studios, another company under the Sega Sammy banner. It's on PC, PlayStation, and Xbox, should you have any interest. This year saw the triumphant return of the Etrian Odyssey series, which began life on the Nintendo DS all the way back in 2007. This new release, called Etrian Odyssey Origins Collection, takes the first 3 Nintendo DS releases, updates the visuals, and puts them on the PC and Switch. These games were first-person dungeon crawlers, essentially RPGs where you must explore and conquer vast mazes that are loaded with enemies. These new versions automatically map your progress so you can play much more casually. Atlus was responsible for these releases, and they are based on the original DS versions and not the 3DS remakes. Sports Interactive released their 2024 update to the Football Manager franchise. Build and run your own soccer team, securing the best players and winning it all. There were versions of this for the PC, Xbox Series, PlayStation, Switch, and mobile devices, so no matter what you play on, you have an option. Well, at least that's what I'm told. I prefer my soccer games a bit more on the arcade side, but if you enjoy tons of options and running a franchise from the ground up, this one might be what you're looking for. Not everything in 2023 was a success story for Sega. Creative Assembly was developing a team-based multiplayer first-person shooter called HYENAS, only to see it cancelled before it was finished. Essentially, groups of teams would invade ships pirate style in an effort to liberate the loot on board. Teams would be fighting each other as well as the computer-controlled defenses of each ship. The trailers initially looked cool thanks to some of the rather interesting weapons, but Sega dropped the project after years in the oven and a budget that continued to grow. It represented a massive loss of investment for Sega and no doubt changed the company's course for future projects. The Like a Dragon series saw not one but two releases in 2023. First up was a remake of Like a Dragon ISHIN, which was originally a Japanese, Korean, and Taiwanese only PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4 title. This new update was released internationally for the PC, Xbox One, Xbox Series, PS4, PS5, and was developed using the Unreal Engine 4. It's set in the 1860s as you play Ryoma Sakamoto, a man wrongly accused in an assassination plot. You have to discover who was behind the dastardly deed, clear your name, and prevent a war that will change Japan forever. Good stuff here if you like the formula, and it was great to see it on a modern platform. You also got Like a Dragon GAIDEN, the man who erased his name. This one continues the story of the Yakuza titles, and is available on the PC, Xbox, and PlayStation consoles. Although officially just a side story, there is lots to see and do here, including some great arcade games like Daytona 2 and Fighting Vipers 2. I got a kick out of the two battle styles, and it was a real emotional roller coaster there at the end. Though these two releases were part of the Like a Dragon series, they feel like two very different games. If you haven't tried them, they both come highly recommended. The Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog was a surprise release in 2023, a mystery game where you must converse with the various characters in the Sonic universe and discover who murdered Sonic. It's set on a train where everyone was gathered to celebrate the birthday of Amy Rose. As a third party, you must question everyone, look for clues, and find out just what is going on. It was given away for free as an April Fool's gift from Sega and can be played on the PC and Mac. It's simple, fun, and something everyone who enjoys visual novels should try out. Hopefully Sega will move it to other platforms and give it a physical release. It was a major year for the Persona franchise as well. Persona 3 Portable was brought over to the Switch, PC, PlayStation, and Xbox, an update to the PSP original. It made numerous visual and gameplay changes to that original, which itself is seeing a full remake next year. We also received Persona 4 Golden, which initially appeared on the PS Vita. This new update gives users of the Switch, Xbox, and PlayStation consoles a new way to play it. There was also the brand new Persona 5 Tactica for the PC, Switch, PlayStation, and Xbox. This one shares the world of the original Persona 5, but now uses tactical role-playing gameplay that changes things up significantly. It was almost too much Persona in 2023, and there is certainly enough here to keep you busy for quite some time. Sega continued to be a part of Nintendo's online service in 2023. If you had the online expansion, you got a load of great choices for the Sega Genesis. Among that lot, games like Crusader of Senti, Revenge of Shinobi, Landstalker, Ghouls and Ghosts, Flicky, Kid Chameleon, Street Fighter II Special Champion Edition, and Pulseman. I'd love to see some Sega CD love in this group, but there are some nice selections all the same. Sega was of course ready in 2023 with some Sonic releases for the PC, Switch, Xbox, and PlayStation. First up was Sonic Origins Plus, an update to the title released the previous year. This was originally an expanded update to what was done on the Sega Saturn with Sonic Jam. Lots of museum-style content in addition to the mainline 16-bit releases, but now including Sonic CD. There's lots of little extras like playing the 5 games as one large adventure with new cinematics. You can also play in a widescreen presentation and use Mania's Drop Dash. The Plus portion of the update gave us 12 new 8-bit versions of Sonic from the Game Gear, a playable Knuckles in Sonic CD, and a playable Amy Rose in all the 16-bit releases. Things were pretty rough in the beginning with a ton of bugs, but most of the most egregious stuff has been sorted in updates. The big Sonic of 2023 was no doubt Sonic Superstars, however. This was a side-scrolling 4-player adventure that took a number of cues from the Rayman and Mario series. You get a bunch of new Chaos Emerald powers, a choice to play as Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, or Amy Rose, and a 2.5D presentation that looks quite slick. It's available on the Switch, PC, PlayStation, and Xbox. A great time whether you're alone or you have friends and family along for the ride. The Total War games have been many over the last 20 or so years, and in 2023, we got Total War PHAROAH. This one was surrounded in controversy thanks to some very poor pacing and AI issues, plus the developer Creative Assembly canceling some of the upcoming content, prompting them to give partial refunds to early adopters. They've promised to work on the base game and add improvements through free updates. It's been a few months since any patches have landed, so you might want to give this one some time to sort its issues. Until then, you can always fall back on Total War Warhammer 3, which received some new content this year itself. This next one doesn't have anything to do with Sega specifically, other than being made by one of the greatest game makers to ever hold the title. Yu Suzuki's Air Twister is a spiritual follow-up to games like Space Harrier, a 3D shooter with all sorts of connections to past games in that series, as well as taking inspiration from others like Panzer Dragoon. Visually stunning, you'll find this one now has ports to the PC, Switch, Xbox, and PlayStation released just last month. It was initially only available as a mobile game available on Apple Arcade. It features a soundtrack that is something of an acquired taste, but the gameplay itself is smooth and easy to pick up. The gameplay is really slow and it definitely needs a faster mode. It's a decent one if you can find it on sale. Sega continued its arcade presence in 2023 with a number of new releases. First up is Jumanji, a unique 4-player series of mini-games that has the film's characters in humorous situations. It's mainly directed at a younger crowd and non-gamers, but can be fun if you have a few friends with you. VR Agent is a first-person shooter that uses goggles connected to your gun kinda like a scope. The gun uses your motion to look and lean, giving you a lot of control over what you focus on and the things you can hide behind in the environment. It's almost a new take on the Virtua Cop formula. The cabinet to this one is nearly $50,000 in cost, so only the most populous areas are likely to see it. If you find one of these gems, be sure to give it a try. You can also play it with a friend. Racing games got a number of additions to Sega's amusement division. Storm Rider 2 is a motion-controlled forced feedback racer where you can do wild stunts across varied environments. You can upgrade your bike and compete in both a story mode and multiplayer battles. The visuals are powered by the Unreal Engine and look quite snazzy. Next up is Drone Racing Genesis, an aerial-based racer where you use drones flying through locations like a city, an island, and a snowy mountain. It uses a single joystick to pilot your craft, and you must fly through various obstacles to stay on course. It's really fast and has 5 different aircraft with different stats. It can support 4 players if you're lucky enough to find it. Hypercross is a force feedback snowmobile racer that is as strange as they come. You race on dirt, snow, and even a giant slide at a water park. You sit atop a replica snowmobile that allows you to pull off stunts, boost your speed, and even upgrade your ride if you keep playing. Again, you get 4 player support if you find the cabinets linked together. Finally, we have Apex Rebels, another force feedback motion-based racer with a number of cool tricks. As you race each lap, additional powers open up as you pass through gates. Slipstream for greater speed, Power Drift for tough turns, or try out the Aero Drift, where you take to the sky to skip over difficult curves and blast past your opponents. It's the kind of old school Sega fun that just never gets old. The massive 65-inch screen is beautiful and the Unreal Engine 5 visuals get the job done. It supports up to 4 players and the force feedback is so well done, it has seatbelts and an emergency stop button if you can't take the heat. Sega's 2023 was a ride of ups and downs, but I enjoyed quite a bit of what they offered. I haven't dropped 50 hours in and beaten every single game featured in this video, of course, but the standouts made a solid impression and I have enjoyed what I have experienced. 2024 is shaping up to be perhaps Sega's most exciting year in a very long time, however. With the potential of so many classic franchises making a comeback, old school Sega fans stand to be front and center for the first time in years. The fan base is understandably excited, and Sega would do well to understand the expectations they have created. low budget, low effort mobile games are not gonna cut it, and loading things down with microtransactions and forced multiplayer will do nothing but disenfranchise millions of potential customers. I hope Sega isn't afraid to really give these games the TLC they need to be something special, to be something that's new, yet respects the gameplay from which it came. Hopefully, if I do a Sega 2024 video this time next year, I will be reporting that things are looking great and Sega is doing more right than wrong. Until then, I'm Sega Lord X. Thank you guys for watching in 2023, and I will catch you next time.